In astronomy for 3 decades. James Cameron, Titanic, etc., has said that he is truly our best historian of the space age. He's best known as the author of A Man on the Moon, and you know, back in 1994 that turned into the terrific television series. He gets it, and he has a passion, and you know him, you know that. Gene Cernan says, I've been there. When he talks about the moon, he says, listen, I've been there, and Chaikin took me back. And we're honored to have you here tonight. Please welcome the one and only Andrew Chaikin.
Thank you, Mark. Glad I was able to get you those quotes. Everybody having a good time? This is a one-of-a-kind thing. I mean, we know this. This is why we're here. This is a great place for a space convention. Nothing like Tucson in June. It's kind of like the surface of the moon out there. You know, an unprotected human being would perish in seconds. It's so hot that Walt Cunningham now believes in global warming. Seriously, I don't mind, because I will go wherever Kim and Sally want me, because Kim and Sally know how to throw a great party. Where else are you going to get the chance to hang out with space explorers of all kinds, astronauts, scientists, space artists? In the space of an hour last night, I got to hang out with Charlie Duke while he was telling me about the experience of floating in the hatch of the Apollo 16 command module while Ken Mattingly was retrieving scientific film. And Charlie was tending the umbilical, and he looked down there, and 180,000 miles away was a crescent Earth, and 50,000 miles away up there was a huge, nearly full moon. What an incredible experience for me, just to be able to hear him talk about it. And at the same gathering, my space artist buddy Mike Carroll and I were talking to planetary explorer Brittany Schmidt, who is studying the Jovian moon Europa, about what might lie underneath the icy crust of that mysterious moon in an ocean that could conceivably even harbor the ingredients of life. Now, Mikey was trying to figure out how we might paint it. I was just trying to understand what she was saying. And then, sitting with Rick Tomlinson, who is one of the pioneers of New Space, and just having a heart-to-heart about the incredible adventure that we've been living through in the last 50 years, with so many impossible dreams coming true. But I have to say that for me personally, the most touching moment that's happened at Spacefest so far was a young fellow who came up to me and told me that when he was in high school, he read A Man on the Moon, and it inspired him to become an aerospace engineer.
Thank you.
And that means a lot to me. And, you know, we need him. We need him, and we need all the other young people who have been inspired to go into space careers, because they're the ones who are going to write the next chapter. We've got to have them to have the same spirit that made the impossible dream of humans walking on the moon come true. And that's why, I have to say, I am so excited about what has happened in the last week. Thank you, SpaceX. Thank you. The spirit of Apollo is alive and well in Hawthorne, California. Those young people, do you remember how young you guys were during Apollo? Gene? Dick? Do you remember? I hope you remember. And the guys in Mission Control were even younger. I mean, I think the average age in the motor was something like 26 years old, something like that. Well, these young folks at SpaceX, they're smart, they're talented, they're hungry, they're passionate, and they're making things happen. You know, a wise person once said, when you're trying to make impossible dreams come true, you can't do business as usual. He was actually talking about Apollo, but that's exactly what SpaceX is doing today. Only now, the impossible dream is making spaceflight affordable and routine and sustainable. And they're trying to make that dream a reality by changing the way spaceflight is done. They've created a system to take cargo to and from the International Space Station for a fraction of the development cost of any other booster and spacecraft in the past or currently being developed. And soon they're going to have a version to carry people. It's an incredibly exciting time to be alive, and I'm excited for the young people here tonight at Spacefest who have so much to look forward to. You know, by the way, that sage, that wise sage who said that quote about impossible dreams and not doing business as usual was Alan Bean. We can always count on Alan for a great perspective. By the way, Alan is the perfect example of why robotic missions, as spectacular as they are, will never replace humans. I mean, how could you ever replace Alan Bean with a robot? You know, for one thing, they've never figured out how to make a machine that's that stubborn. And even if they could, they'd never be able to make it function entirely on spaghetti. But you know, you'd never get a robot that would come back and paint the beautiful visions of the world that he saw. But all the space explorers, the humans and the robots, they've given us something very, very precious. They've given us a chance to look beyond ourselves. They've shown us a universe that we could never have imagined. Think about this. The Hubble Space Telescope has revealed that the expansion of the universe, which was first discovered back in the 1920s by Sir Edwin Hubble himself, that expansion is actually speeding up because of some mysterious force that scientists can only call dark energy. Now, as far as anyone knows, dark energy has nothing to do with Dick Cheney. They've checked it out. But now, you see, scientists have to explain a universe in which 95% of the universe is dark energy and dark matter, stuff that we have no idea what it is. What can we take from this? What's the lesson here? The universe is trying to teach us something. It's trying to teach us that we don't have it all figured out, okay? And this is a crucial lesson. We have gotten so narrow-minded, so black and white about everything. Don't confuse me with the facts. My mind is made up. I'm a Vermont commie, and you're a Fox Republican dinosaur. That's basically the dialogue. But exploration teaches us that when we get into that mode, we're missing it. Because exploration is about not knowing what you'll find. Like going to the Descartes Highlands and expecting that you're going to find ancient lava flows, and instead discovering the debris of countless asteroid impacts, cosmic collisions. A completely paradigm-shifting discovery that John and Charlie made. It's about being surprised at every turn. Like sending Mariner 9 to be the first spacecraft to orbit Mars, a world that geologists had basically given up for dead, and finding instead that instead of a moon-like expanse, there were volcanoes, giant volcanoes, 3 times the height of Mount Everest, and a canyon stretching the length of the United States, and ancient river valleys that spoke of a warm, wet Mars in a distant past, a world with a story to tell. This is what exploration does. It teaches us to leave our hubris at the door. It tells us that it's okay to be wrong, because that's how we learn. It also teaches us to be in it for the long haul, because space is the ultimate long-term investment. We live in a culture that's more and more focused on instant gratification, right? We want everything to be fast and easy. President Kennedy said, when he launched Apollo, he said, "We do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard."
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills.
And those words have never been more crucial than they are right now. You know, right now, NASA's robotic exploration program is in very dire shape. Very serious budget cuts are threatening the exploration of the solar system. And if they're not reversed, we're going to feel that impact for years to come. There are young scientists and engineers out there who are now in grad school or just starting their careers. We're going to be stealing their future. And we're going to be eating our own technological seed corn. Space is a magnet for kids who want to go in to study science and math and engineering. But what's the point of that if there won't be any jobs for them when they get out of school? But see, the rest of the world out there, they're struggling. When you're trying to figure out how to pay the mortgage or how to put your kids through college, you know, space is not even on your radar screen. Your focus is down here. And then add to that the culture that is waiting for the next tweet and the next soundbite and, you know, the next moment. Forget about the long horizon. That's not even on, you're not even thinking about that. So guess what? Guess who has to tell them why exploration is so important? Us. We have to do that. We have to make that case. We have to tell our families, our friends, the people we work with, the people we meet, why we must keep exploring. This is a multi-generational quest. We can't stop pushing until we've made humanity a spacefaring species. But we won't get there if we don't keep pushing. So do something for me when you get home from Spacefest. Go to the Planetary Society website, or however you want to do it, and send a message to your Congress representatives and give them a simple message. We must explore. Thank you.
This country was conquered by those who move forward, and so will space. William Bradford, speaking in 1630 of the founding of the Plymouth Bay Colony, said that all great and honorable actions are accompanied with great difficulties, and both must be enterprised and overcome with answerable courage. If this capsule history of our progress teaches us anything, it is that man in his quest for knowledge and progress is determined and cannot be deterred. The exploration of space will go ahead, whether we join in it or not. And it is one of the great adventures of all time. And no nation which expects to be the leader of other nations can expect to stay behind in this race for space.